All right, so get ready, because today we are diving into the world of Franz Kafka.
Ooh, Kafka.
Yeah, we're tackling the castle.
Oh, boy.
This one is a trip.
It really is.
And you know it's unfinished,
Right. Famously so.
which actually makes it even more...
Well, it's perfect.
Yeah,
In its imperfection.
right. Like, this is kind of the point.
Because it was discovered after his death.
Right,
Unedited, completely unfinished. But
Yeah.
it's not a messy draft.
right.
It's just he stopped writing.
It's considered a finished work.
It's considered a masterpiece of 20th century literature.
And this is one of those books that, like, I feel like I'm going to have to read again after this conversation.
I think so too, because it's one of those that the more you think about it, the more you unpack it, the more you realize how much is in there.
Yeah, and it's like he gives us this puzzle with, like, half the pieces missing.
Exactly.
And he's like, there you go, figure it out.
Right. So, and it starts with this guy.
Yeah,
Kay
our protagonist, Kay,
arrives in this snowy village.
and he's a land surveyor.
He is a man of logic and a profession that really depends on
Precision.
measurement. And he gets to this place and there are no rules.
There's no logic.
There's no logic.
And he's like, wait a minute. I'm supposed to be able to, like, measure things, and this isn't adding up.
I'm supposed to understand this world and I don't.
Ow.
And it's all because of this castle that just looms over this village. Just
Looms.
sits up there.
Yeah, so we've got this village that is both in awe of this castle
Right.
and also, like, terrified of it.
Yes, they revere its authority, but they're also terrified of it.
It's like this weird reverence and paranoia.
And this is where we get the villagers
Yes.
who are there.
They're strained, right?
They're caught in this system.
And then there are the castle officials.
Yes.
Like, are they real? Are they figments of everyone's imagination?
We don't know because we never meet them.
Right?
We only hear whispers of their existence.
We hear about them through messengers.
The messenger's letters.
Yeah, and there's this one official, Clam,
Clam, yes.
who's like this shadowy figure.
He plays this huge role, but he remains unseen.
Yeah, it's like trying to grab smoke.
Yes. You can't quite get a hold of him.
You can't pin him down.
Nope.
And then there's Barnabas.
Barnabas.
He starts off.
This young messenger full of naive enthusiasm
Yes.
until the weight of his very first task from the castle
Oh.
reduces him to tears.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and it's such a small detail, but it speaks volumes about what Kafka's doing here.
Right, this like crushing weight of expectation. It's
Yes.
just like, wow, this is a lot of pressure for this young guy.
Right, and it really sets the tone for the whole story.
Yeah. And speaking of being crushed by the system, we have Frieda,
Oh, yes.
who was once Clam's mistress.
Right?
And she becomes involved with Kay.
And she's got this really interesting
Oh, totally.
dynamic going on because she's torn between
Right.
what she wants and what she thinks she should want.
It's like she's looking for the status symbol,
She wants to be close to power.
even though it's this like empty kind
Oh.
of power.
It's so interesting how he does that.
It is.
Because you can see how being tied to the castle, even if it's just through somebody who used to be a mistress of this guy,
Yeah.
it still gives her some sort of status in this village.
Right. Or at least that's what she thinks.
Exactly.
But then there's Amalia.
Oh, Amalia.
Who's like, I'm not playing this game.
Nope. She refuses a summons from one of the castle officials.
From Sortini.
Yes.
Sortini.
And this, like, blows up in her face.
Yeah, her family gets ostracized from the village.
Which is really scary. It's like,
The reach of the castle is so far.
the reach is so far, and it's, like, insidious
Really makes you think.
about, like, who has power and how they wield it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not always in your face. It's
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Yeah, it's like this unseen force that's controlling everything.
And you see it with Kay's assistants, too.
Oh, those guys.
Arthur and Jeremiah
Right, like, are they real? Are they not? What's going on there?
are like shadows or something. They just follow him around.
They don't seem to actually do anything.
No, and they claim to be his firmer assistants.
But does he even remember them?
Right. Like, what's their purpose?
We were talking about bureaucracy earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, this book is, like, the ultimate example of that.
Totally. The castle itself is like the symbol of bureaucracy.
It just keeps going and going.
The paperwork, the endless waiting, the running around in circles.
It's like he's trying to find the logic in a system that's completely illogical.
Exactly. And that scene where he meets the village mayor.
Oh my gosh.
So much paperwork.
Mountains of it.
And yet they can't find any record of him ever being summoned.
Yeah, like what's the point of all this paperwork if it doesn't even tell you anything useful?
Right. It's completely absurd.
It's Kafka at his finest.
It really is.
It's kind of funny in a way.
Well, it's absurd,
But also, like, deeply unsettling.
Like you want to scream.
Yeah, like, just tell me what's going on.
Give me some answers.
But they never come.
They never do, and I think that's part of the point.
Right? Like, even at the end of the book, we're left with this feeling of,
Unfinished business.
yeah, like, what happens to Kay? Does he ever reach the castle?
We don't know, because Kafka never finished writing it.
Which is crazy, because he actually wanted all his unfinished work destroyed.
Can you imagine if that had actually happened?
Like, we wouldn't even have the castle to talk about.
We'd be missing out on one of the most thought-provoking books ever written.
It's weird, though, right? Like, part of me respects his wishes, but then...
Totally, but at the same time, like, thank goodness for Max Brod.
I know, right? Like, talk about a dilemma.
To destroy a masterpiece, or to share it with the world.
It's like the castle itself kind of embodies this whole idea of control and defiance.
You know, it exists, but it's also incomplete.
And maybe that's the point.
Maybe that's the whole point.
Like, life itself is kind of like, that isn't it.
There are no easy answers.
Things are messy and complicated.
And sometimes we just have to learn to live with the unknown.
I think that's why this book still resonates so strongly with readers today.
It reflects our own anxieties, our own struggles with bureaucracy and authority.
Our search for meaning in a world that often feels meaningless.
Exactly. And it doesn't give us the answers.
But it makes us ask the questions.
And that's sometimes even more important.
So to those of you listening who are about to embark on your own journey into the castle,
buckle up.
Seriously, be prepared for a wild ride.
Embrace the absurdity.
Don't expect any easy answers.
And most importantly, just let Kafka take you on this journey.
And with that, I think we're about out of time.
Until next time, happy reading.
And remember to keep those pages turning.